I'm so ashamed, so embarrassed to be here tonight. The things I've done, the places I've gone, the people I've hurt, the wrong I've done. Looking back, I can't even believe that was me. I'm so ashamed, so guilty. I feel so horrible. I didn't mean to, didn't start out to do that. It started out, I was just a teenager. I was so restless. I hated living in my dad's house. I hated following all of his rules, and I had it made, but I didn't know it. And I just felt so claustrophobic. I felt so closed in. I felt so like there was a world waiting out there for me. Dad was always, as long as you're under my roof, you're going to do it my way, son. And I despised that. I hated every minute of that. And we would get into arguments, and he would say things, and I would say things. And one day we just had it out. I couldn't take it anymore. It was, for years, it had just built up on the inside of me, and I just exploded at him. And I told him I hated him. And I said, I hate living in this house, and I hate living by these rules. And I said, just give me my money. Just give me my inheritance. Give me what belongs to me, and you'll never see my face again. I'll never forget that look in his eye. I'll never forget that pain that I saw. He bowed his head and said, okay. Packed my bags, handed me some money, said, here it is, son. I put a smile on my face. I said, this house and this town will never see me again. So I took off, and I had the time of my life. The places I got to see, the people that were around me, the things I did, the women that were there, the relationships, a different one every night, and the partying and the fun that I had. It was just wonderful, and I was so happy to be away from Dad's house. But before I knew it, the life that I thought I was controlling started controlling me. I found myself doing things that I didn't want to do, and I found myself telling lies, and one lie led to another lie that led to another lie. People that called me their friends and surrounded me, they said, we'll be your friends through thick and thin, until it got too thick and they thinned out. They wanted nothing to do with me at a point. They hated to see me coming. I had stolen from them. I had betrayed them. I had lied to them. I had hurt them. Every person that came along that tried to love me, I hurt them. I had friends that I had nowhere to stay. I had nowhere to go. I had nowhere to call home. And I went to one friend's house, and I saw the light open. I was in the yard, but when I walked up on the porch, the blinds closed and the lights went out, and I rang the doorbell and I knocked and I said, I know you're in there. Nobody would open the door. I slept that night on a bench in the park. I was a Jewish boy, and I found myself with a bunch of pigs. And I found myself there with the stench of those vile, unclean creatures. Found myself so hungry, so broken, so alone. Found myself with tears streaming down my face. I was so hungry. I had nowhere to turn, nowhere to go. The pigs that I was in charge of feeding, I was giving them food, and I was dumping slop out for them, and as I was feeding them and they were eating, I was so hungry, and the food they were eating started looking so enticing. It started looking so good, so appealing, that I reached and got a handful, and I started, this was the bottom for me, a Jewish boy in the pig pen, fixing to eat the slop of the pigs. And as I was about to eat that pig food, as I was about to eat that slop, suddenly I remembered my daddy's face. Suddenly I remembered that tear in his eye. Suddenly I remembered my father. And I thought, here I am, nowhere to turn, nowhere to go. Look at my life. Look what I've made of my life. Look what's happened to me now. My father's house, the servants, they have food 3 meals a day. My father's house, the servants, they have a bed, they have a pillow, they have clean linens. My father's house, there's a roof over their head. In my father's house, even the servants have respect. Human decency. And as I was there about to eat that slop, as I was there about to eat that handful of slop, I remembered my father's house. I remembered I can go home. I know what I've done. I know I broke his heart. I know he won't accept me back as a son. I know I'm not worthy. I know I blew it. I failed. But maybe I can be a servant. Maybe I can just have a decent meal. Maybe I can just have clean clothes. As I looked at that food, as I looked at it in my hand, as I looked at that food slop I was about to eat, I remembered my father's house. And I remember I held that food up. I held it up. And I said, devil, I have changed my mind. And I threw that food down. And I got to my feet. And I said, I'm going home. I may not be a son and I may not be welcome. But maybe I can just be a servant in my father's